Hello, everybody. Welcome into just the third one of these after a loss we're doing, which is a blessing here in December. Locked On Vikings postcast brought to you by Bet Online. I'm Luke Braun here with Sam Ekstrom here on the Locked On Minnesota Sports YouTube channel. Also, you can find this audio on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed. Vikings fall to the tune. Final score is 34-21, right?
23.
34-23. I sort of checked out at the end there because the Vikings were making me upset. Vikings, oh boy, there's a lot of stuff to get into. So let's just dive right into it. I'm going to answer my own question first. My first question is, what's the headline here? It's that the Vikings can't have that many catastrophes. They had too many just disasters. The 4th and 7, the busted coverage, or the fake punt on 4th and 7, busted coverage, Cam Dantzler getting beat for a long touchdown after a disastrous return, the first and goal on the 3, you call a pop pass, it's a fumble. That's too many catastrophic things. Too many, man, that was the biggest blow we can possibly take. You just can't withstand that many. No matter what your game plan is, no matter who you are, no matter how bad your defense is or how well your quarterback is playing, that's too much stuff. And it's a hard coaching point because it's like screw up less. That's my note. Go screw up less next time. What's yours?
A wasted, legendary Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson day.
Yeah.
The Justin Jefferson thing kind of snuck up at the end where he made a handful of absurd catches when the Vikings were in comeback mode. He should have had another 33 yards. They shouldn't have ruled him out of bounds, but he ends up with 223 regular season Vikings record, 4 short of Anthony Carter for the regular season or postseason.
It cost him the regular season. It cost him the game record. I'm so mad about that.
And I think people will still they've always separated Sammy White from Anthony Carter because regular season, postseason, it's different. Justin Jefferson will get credit and be viewed, I think, as the single game leader.
It gets him on the board. Yeah, it gets him in the record book.
Right. But yeah, it did cost him the Anthony Carter mark, which is probably even a little more hallowed in Vikings lore. But also the Kirk Cousins game that you just wasted, 425, Luke. Almost perfection from Kirk Cousins. I mean, the passer rating somehow only 124.5. I don't know if they dock him for sacks, but he was absurdly good in this game. He made some great throws, especially on third down. TJ Hawkinson drop, not his fault. Dalvin Cook fumble, not his fault. Even a couple plays, where they were a couple of yards short of the first down, Kirk Cousins made on-target throws. He was excellent. And as we know, Luke, you don't always get this Kirk Cousins. We've been around long enough where when you see a Kirk Cousins game like that, you want to capitalize on it because it could be gone the next week, kind of like Arizona last year. Would be a good example. That's a big missed opportunity. Justin Jefferson might have these games every game in the future. He's that good.
Honestly,
Kirk Cousins, though, will not. So you could have conceivably won this game in a shootout with a couple of less mistakes on both sides of the ball if you don't turn the ball over inside the 5. It's a different ball game, and you could have maybe won a shootout with Kirk Cousins playing the way he did. Didn't happen, and that's a big missed opportunity.
Yeah, huge missed opportunity for this. I mean, this is, by volume, one of the worst defenses in the league. A lot of that is on earlier in the season, right, that they were playing a lot worse, and they've been playing better lately. But it's still, I mean, considering what this offense did against some of the best defenses in the league over the last month, you expected a lot. And I think you got a lot from Cousins and Jefferson, but you got nothing out of anybody else. And here's what bugs me about this one. And I'm going to sound super boomer here, so sorry, but it really felt like the Vikings just kind of skipped this one. I didn't see a lot of energy. They didn't play with fire. And maybe there was a message that, hey, we're okay with losing this one when they kind of cautiously sit everybody for injuries, which I think is the right move anyways.
I thought that too.
Probably the right move. That's not the decision that I'm having a problem with here. I'm having a problem with that was a chance to directly clinch the division. And I know that Kevin O'Connell says that's not what we're just treating it like a normal game, blah, blah, blah. But the Lions played like it was a playoff game. You could tell after every play that they made, they were that was a playoff atmosphere on one side of the ball. and it was a meaningless late season atmosphere. Like, the Vikings looked like a team that has already been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs playing in week 17. Like, that's the way that they played for me, both in quality and in energy, honestly, especially on the defensive side of the ball. There's so much to talk about on the defensive side of the ball. My mentions are insane right now with people wanting to fire Ed Donatel. So let's have that conversation. I'll kick it to you first, Sam. What do you do about Ed Donatel right now in this moment, if not like at the end of the year? How do we approach this?
Right now, I don't think there's a John DiFilippo for Kevin Stefanski move that can be made. I also don't want to be a fraud. We had this conversation a couple weeks ago on the football party where I posed the question, is this, what percentage is Ed Donatel, what percentage is personnel? And I'm of the belief that this is more than 50% personnel. Donatel's schematics are obviously part of the equation. I'm not saying it's not. But I also think that you just don't have necessarily a lot to work with in the linebacker group, and your cornerbacks are not shut down. You can't count on one side of the field getting shut down. Cam Dantzler has always been a little bit vulnerable to big plays against. Patrick Peterson's having a spectacular year. I wouldn't take anything away from him, but today he got, beaten a couple times underneath.
Got a couple.
You didn't have your star safety. The safeties got exposed today.
And that hurt. They really missed him over the middle.
Yeah, I mean, and Ken Bynum has been vulnerable too this year. Like, let's not pretend that just because he had a game-winning pick that Bynum hasn't had his share of mistakes. He has, absolutely. And today he was joined by Josh Metellus. I think that the knock on Donatel has got to be, when and how often you're going to blitz. Now, it might be a little bit two-faced to say that you need to blitz more when your coverage is that bad. Like, that might be what Donatel is thinking. But there must be a better balance to strike here than to just, waste these all these Daniil and Za'Darius reps with a four-man rush. Like, that's when your best pass rushers can thrive, if you can get them in a good situation with an extra rusher. And the Vikings don't do that really at all. So I think that there are tweaks, but there's not a wholesale fix at this stage. It's not going to be easy to solve this.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to like firing a guy, right, and that kind of fan discourse, I think for a lot of fans, it's the only tool that they know, right? Because if you don't know, like, well, maybe we should call more cover 3 instead of cover 2, like if you aren't familiar with the merits of that, and I'm not too familiar with the merits of that, so I'm not going to speak to it right now, but if that's not something that you have, then you're just going to go, well, clearly someone is the problem, and so let's cut out the problem so the problem will be solved. But it's not a cancer that you can just cut out and say, okay, like we did it. It's you have to understand the why of the problem. For me, the why of the problem, at least in this one, is that they are, not having Harrison Smith and instead having Josh Metellus, who is very slow to break on everything, left the middle of the field wide open a whole lot. We have been getting smoked over the middle of the field all season. Harrison Smith is kind of just now getting used to the scheme enough where he can confidently break on things the way that he has to. And same with Cam Bynum. On my Patreon, which all of this is now open to the public, so you can go find it if you want. I did a couple of videos on Cam Bynum this last couple of weeks on the struggles he was having after the Patriots game. I did one on the struggles he was having, and then on the Jets game and the ways that he had improved. He was doing a lot better. It's hard to see because the safeties aren't on TV. So my guess would be that we had some problems with Metellus. But again, I'll reserve judgment for that when I can take a closer look. And to the point with stunts, I don't mind being a rush 4 team if you can cover, but if you can't cover, you're just putting all your eggs in Josh Metellus's basket. And that's not the game plan here.
No.
Especially if you knew you were going to be cautious with Harrison Smith. Yeah, I think Donatel has some questions to answer when it comes to that. But
is Mike Pettin the answer? Are your Twitter mentions suggesting Pettin?
I have not, the word Pettin has not appeared, and I think that's appropriate.
That's the logical.
I don't think so.
That's the logical person, though, right? Based on resume.
If you did it right now, yeah, Mike Pettin would become the defensive play caller. But I don't know. Ask any Packers fan. I don't think that's the move. But I think if you want, because they're running the Fangio defense, half of the league is running this scheme. Like, if you don't like the Fangio scheme, that's fine. But you got to tell half the NFL why they're wrong. Like. The way that we're running it right now is just, I've been saying it, the training wheels are on because they don't trust corners to guard outside because Patrick Peterson, they just aren't trusting Peterson and Dantzler, or if it's Duke Shelley or Andrew Booth or Caleb Evans, they haven't trusted those guys to be one-on-one outside. So they have to call these cover 6 or quarters or cover 2 or whatever that asks less of those cornerbacks, but is therefore easier to beat over the middle. It's a trade-off you have to take unless you want to put the whole game in Cameron Dantzler's hands. And I hope you liked that DJ Chark touchdown, because you're going to see more of that. That's the catch-22 that we're in. The answer is this just has to get better next year. This just sucks right now, and they're just going to have to win in spite of it. And they had been winning in spite of it. They didn't do it this time. But I think any wholesale change to the defensive staff, I think you have to do more than the defense is bad, so fire the guy in charge of it. I think you have to do better than that if you're going to really make that argument. And I think going to, like, so many of these problems are Eric Kendricks is in a new scheme, Harrison Smith in a new scheme, Daniil Hunter in a new scheme. Zadarius Smith is the only one who's used to this, and he's having like a career year. All these guys are in a new scheme, doing stuff they're not used to doing. Let's fire the guy and get them used to doing new stuff. Let's just start from scratch and go through all of this again. Like, that's what I hear when I hear fire Ed Donatel. It's, I loved this. Let's do this defensively again. Because that's a great way to repeat it. You want to talk definition of insanity, it's let's do first year defense all the time. Same thing we talk about with Cousins, new coaches and all that. Let's do that all the day, all the time. Let's fire everybody. New coaches for everyone. That should work.
That was a good rant. I applaud that. Can we talk about the jump
Twitter's
pass?
been bad to me today.
Can we talk about the Dalvin fumble play call? Because I'm going to defend it. What about you? What camp are you in?
A little cute, but I try not to get too crazy on hindsight. Protect the
Penei
ball,
Sewell,
you idiot.
Penei Sewell caught a pass. That was pretty cute. I bet Lions fans hate the decision.
That's a good point. Yeah. If it works, you look real smart, right?
Yeah, I mean, some people were in my mentions saying, terrible play call. Why would you have a running back throw? Well, they have a wide receiver throw like every other game. And other people were saying, well, you need to run more time off the clock. First of all, you're not in a position where this is like the end of the game and you're ahead and you're trying to manage, like you're behind. So you need the points. I understand the theory there. I really do. Like, I understand if you want to run up the middle and maybe you make it, maybe you don't, but if you don't, you're okay with it. But I don't think you can intentionally not score in front of halftime when you're down by 7. Have you seen the way that teams, like situations get jacked up? So let's pretend that Dalvin Cook attempt, and it was going to be a pass. Let's pretend that was just going to be a run play up the middle. Did you see how it was blocked? He was going to get tackled at the 5. Okay, right. Well, then you're second and goal from the 5. You're not guaranteed to get anything at that point. You're not guaranteed a touchdown. I think when you're in the second quarter and you're down by 7, you just score. You score how you can score. And I like the creativity. I like the creativity.
It's not like that's a
low
decision
red
you make on a
zone.
whim either.
No, and they practiced it, and they set it up. Like, how many times did they do that pitch back to Dalvin in the first half? And it got blown up every time. But that set up the trickery to get it to Munt on that play. I think it would have been a super fun way to score. It's not about having fun, but it was a well-devised, I'm sure well-practiced play. And just because they didn't run enough time off the clock, I think at some points in the game, you just need to get in the end zone.
Yeah, and that was something they came into the game going, we're going to call this today. We practiced it all week. We're going to call this. We're going to find our spot. We're going to call this. So it's not like that's a decision you like make on a whim, right? You decide on Tuesday that you're going to call that at the goal line at some point. So here's what I'll say, and I'll spin this into another victory lap that I'm going to take. The Vikings missed Garrett Bradbury really bad, and it made them ask a lot more of the guards in their blocking schemes. And the guards were not up to that task. Ezra Cleveland and Ed Ingram in particular were not up to more difficult blocks. That's going to be my theory. Again, I got to look at it more to 100%. I reserve the right to take that back, but that's what I think is happening here, is that the guards just couldn't handle that bigger workload. And Ed Ingram is the person at fault of that play. You can say Dalvin Cook, ball security, totally fair. Give him his piece of the pie. But Ed Ingram got absolutely exploded on that play. And all you had to do was not get exploded. You didn't even have to like really win a run block or win a pass pro rep for 7 seconds or anything. Like, that is a fairly easy blocking assignment. To get exploded on like that is pathetic. Can I say the word pathetic? Because a lot of
the sideline reporter that it was an O-line mistake. He didn't even put it on Dalvin.
And I think that's fair. Yeah, it absolutely was more on the O-line. And look, yeah, I think the idea, like if that were just a regular run, I'm feeling like that's a fumble anyways. And then we're not talking about too cute. So yeah, I don't think that I'm gonna be too mad about that play call. You just can't have it turn into a catastrophe. You practice that all week, like
Right.
don't fumble, you idiots. Don't get blown up on one of your easiest blocking assignments of the day because it's a trick play.
Yeah, Dalvin didn't have a great day. Ball security still remains an issue, and
just penetration in the backfield was so bad.
And the tackles for loss were ridiculous. His long of the day was 5. And this happens way too often. I know Dalvin was on pace for like 1,300 yards, and I don't know how, because every third game it feels like this happens, where the run game is just wickedly inefficient. And somehow, and still, Luke, if you want the glass half full approach to this game, and it's not easy to spin, the passing offense is the biggest engine for NFL success. That can legitimately power you over any other speed bumps. If your defense is horrible, if your special teams is horrible, a great passing offense is the elixir. And the Vikings showed that today. So if that is something that they can sustain, even at like 75% of what they did today, that's a great sign. Kirk Cousins had extra zip on his balls today.
Kirk was great. He was so
clean.
Again,
yeah. And putting it exactly where he needed to, putting it in spots where only Justin Jefferson could make catches, trusting his
the back
receivers.
shoulders, yeah.
3rd and long, doesn't matter. 3rd and 11, like deep in his own, shadow of his goalpost. Who cares? I'm going to throw to the sticks. That was great. I mean, I think that's the most encouraging sign from a discouraging game.
Yes, I agree. And if he can keep that up, again, the Vikings need one win to clinch the division or one Lions loss. Like the stakes of this game were low. I just kind of wish the Vikings didn't come out that way. Here's the thing that proves that to me. 4th and 7, your punt team is out. Their punt team is huddling. They were huddling. You think something might be up? No, let's give it there's like a 41-yard gain on a run play. Nobody saw it coming at all. They were very clearly up to something. That huddle was so late. I've never seen a punt team huddling and getting up to the line and like quick snapping like that. That should raise every alarm bell in your world. You give that up and you give up the long return that then set up the DJ Chark touchdown too. Yeah. Even the good unit, the special teams is usually the stars of all of this, had 2 separate, totally catastrophic reps that you have to just burn the tape and forget about because they're so bad you can't even learn from them.
Yeah, and this was not a day where the Vikings were forcing a lot of punts, so to let one of those go by the boards, not great. Duke Shelley had a chance as he was peeling back, and I think he got blocked out of it. Gutsy, and this was a kitchen sink game for the Lions too. Gutsy on Dan
every
Campbell's
game
part,
is for
but,
them. That's the
but
way
they
live.
literally, they're talking about, and this is the most overused statement in sports. It's the loudest we've heard this crowd in years.
Yeah.
It's such recency bias, though. Like, whenever you hear a loud noise, it's like the loudest I've ever heard in my life. Vilma and Kenny
in Ford
Albert,
Field, it might be.
who didn't have a great day at the mic, by the way.
No.
But they were like, this was a big game for the Lions. 4 out of 5. Their fans are excited. It doesn't happen very often. They were going to bring the energy and the aggressiveness, and we knew this about Dan Campbell already. If the Vikings had won this game, Luke, is it one of their better road wins? Like, Buffalo's obviously the best, but this is a better road win than Miami. Like, against Thompson and Bridgewater, I think it's a better road win.
It would be, yeah. I would put Washington up there. I think
maybe better than Washington. It's close.
Yeah, we've kind of found out that the Taylor Heineke-led Commanders are a little more real than when they had Carson Wentz, and we didn't really know that at that time. So I think we can kind of put a little bit more respect on that win than we did at the time. But yeah, sure. It's not like they deserved to win, though. I mean, that was the Lions played a way cleaner game, and when you're at home and you're playing a cleaner game, you're gonna win. Like that, you're gonna win a lot if you can just watch the other guy make a crap ton of mistakes in front of you. That's that. Sam, is there anything you wanted to bring up that I missed?
I'm doing this podcast with my 1.5-year-old son in my lap now, by the way.
Very good.
One more thing. Going for 2, down 14. First of all, this is awesome because Kevin O'Connell went on Pardon My Take last week, and they asked him that question, which was a great question. And he said, yeah, I would go for 2. And he did.
And he did.
And how frustrating is it that no one understands why? Everyone thinks that he's an idiot because it failed. Again, O'Connell's going to take heat in this game that he did not deserve. I mean, I don't know how much say he has in the defensive side of the ball for which someone should take heat, but I thought the decisions by O'Connell weren't really that bad. The onside kick, I think, is fine too. Like, I think you need to at least take the 5% chance of getting that ball back. Because you needed a stop on the first series anyway. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Right.
So
exactly. So like what the scenario where it's different if you did an onside kick versus that is the one we were in, right? Where they get a first down, but they don't get another first down, so they kick, right? In that scenario, you have 17 seconds to go all the way down the field and score, right? And let's say they miss the field goal, just so it really matters. You have 17 seconds to go all the way down and score. You're doing the Stanford band lateral play, right? So what converts more often, the Stanford band lateral play or onside kicks? Neither of them are good. You're in a bad spot here because you got your butt kicked up and down the field by the Lions in a bunch of ways. But the onside kick is a stab at another possession, and functionally, if you give up a first down, you're done. So look, Kevin O'Connell preaches like situational masters and all of that stuff. So I have a certain amount of trust that, again, these are not on the whim decisions. These are things that he has a reasoning for, that he would defend and probably will defend, is defending right now as we record this. He's probably on the podium. That is, I'm not bugged by that at all. Maybe don't let their left tackle get a first down on you. That's probably the thing that I would focus on, is a little bit more ridiculous than quibbling over basically going on the result of a play instead of, what decisions actually went on it,
Well, and he didn't go for 2 down 9. He won't get criticized for that, but I mean, that would have been the correct decision too.
True. I think I did, or I at least put it in my notes. I don't remember if I said it publicly or not, but yeah, I did disagree with that too. Look,
when you make one analytically progressive decision and fail, you can't double down on that, or else you get crucified by the people that don't get
it. That's very true. Cooking, Sam. Get him. Look, Sam and I are going to be on the mic again on Monday at the Minnesota Football Party. You can find it on the Locked On Minnesota Sports YouTube page, as well as a podcast feed, as well as Amazon Fire and Roku. This postcast is brought to you, by the way, by Bet Online. Bet Online is your one-stop shop for all things gambling. The Lions covered. Whole bunch of noise about how they maybe shouldn't or should have been favored. They covered. I said with Matt Derry on the crossover that I just thought it would be close, but hey, they covered. But also, Justin Jefferson covered his yardage total for the season. It was 1395. He crushed it today. So it's December 11th. So that Vegas line was a pretty easy. I put the farm on that. That was an easy bet. So if you want to find bets like that, you can find them at betonline.net, where the game starts. For Sam Ekstrom, I am Luke Braun. We are talking to you from the Locked On Minnesota Sports Podcast page. You can find me on Locked On Vikings. You can find Sam on all sorts of things on Locked On Minnesota Superior Sports Talk, the Ron Johnson Show. He's got a hand in all of it. We will see you all next week after the Colts game, and maybe we'll be talking about the Vikings clinching the division. We'll see how it goes. For Sam, till next time.